You're all familiar with Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. So what could that possibly have to do with facility planning? Well, the poet is the ultimate observer of practical, everyday, mundane aspects of daily life, right? All the practical realities of everyday life, and uses simple words to express that in profound ways. I think there's a similarity there. Joao Batista Vilanova Artigas, the Brazilian architect, said, "I admire poets. What they express with a couple of words takes us a ton of brick." Well, as facility planners, it really takes us a whole lot more than a ton of brick. I mean, we're involved in a very complex process with a lot of moving parts. We're talking about 21st century learning environments, sustainable schools, long-term maintainable facilities, on-time, on-budget construction. How do we know as we're going through these long-term processes when it takes 5 to 7 years to build a high school, how do we really know what to focus our attention on and what's the most important thing? Is it really a choice between the practical or the poetic? I'm going to take you back to Psychology 101 when you were in college. Maslow's scale of values, you're probably all familiar with that. At the bottom, the basic, food, water, and shelter, what every living organism on Earth needs to survive. And we go up through these tiers to the very highest value, self-actualization, creativity, understanding, what's the meaning of life, right? So, as to live full human lives, we really want to be operating in all of these levels. We don't want to be picking and choosing. So, I took that and applied it to what we do, and this is the school planner scale of values. So at the bottom, we've got the poor school superintendent who doesn't know how many students are going to show up in September into his already overcrowded, dilapidated facilities, and he's saying, "Hey guys, just get roofs over my kids' heads for me." So that's a basic value, but it's really not quite enough, is it? We really want a little higher bar than that. So then there's on-time and on-budget construction, very important. Constructible, maintainable schools, sustainable, high-performance learning environments. And if we really can perform on all of these, and all of the details, the structural requirements, mechanical requirements, everything that's informing us in terms of the design of the project, if we really can allow all of those to shape the building, maybe we really have a chance to do something that's bigger, and that is address students' aspirations, students' highest aspirations, and the aspirations that the community has for education in their community. So really, it's not a choice between the practical or the poetic. It's that the practical shapes the poetic. So how do we do that? You've probably seen a chart like this before. It's pretty simple, but when I saw it, I thought this is pretty profound. Across time, on a typical project, our power to shape the outcome is greatest at the very beginning and tails off dramatically as we go through the project. At the same time, the cost to change the outcome is virtually free at the beginning, but gets incredibly more expensive as we go through the project. So we've all had experiences with projects out here where new criteria, new knowledge, new information came up and was brought in late, and now we're faced with change orders and a chaotic process. So our approach to that, our response to that, is an integrated, engaged design process. So involving stakeholders, clients, planners, architects, engineers, and builders, all in the process at the very front end. So it doesn't mean that we really have to design the entire building here at the beginning of the project. It doesn't mean we have to understand all the details of it, but we do need to get everybody involved in the process to at least identify all the criteria, right? Understand what issues are going to shape the building. So as we're deciding what this building is going to be like, function like, look like, basically form follows function. That we've developed a good understanding of that at the beginning of the project. So I'd like to show you a project as a case study. This is the McBride High School in Long Beach, California. This project is a small thematic high school with between 1,000 and 1,200 students. It was designed with 4 career pathways that were organized into 4 small learning communities. If you're not familiar with California, Long Beach is just outside of Los Angeles on the coast. This is a map of the boundary of the Long Beach Unified School District. And as you look at that, you can see it's basically one dense urban environment all the way across there. So it's virtually indistinguishable from the urban areas of Los Angeles. There's a port, an airport, and 2 institutions of higher learning. The district is, it's a large district. It's the 3rd largest in California, 81,000 students. Long Beach Unified has all of the problems that other major urban districts, large urban districts in the country have. But it also has some strengths. It has high attendance ratios. It has low absenteeism. It's been recognized for some of its strengths. It won the Broad Prize for urban architecture, and the Global Education Study recognized it as one of the world's 5 highest performing school districts. So at the beginning of the process, there was an ethic that was established at the very beginning of an engaged, integrated process. I see Bill DeYoung here. Bill's firm led this master planning process, and what he set up at the very beginning was a very engaged, integrated process that included not only his team of planners, but also a group of architects locally who were engaged from the beginning. All of the engineering disciplines were engaged, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil, and then just literally thousands of stakeholders through the district. So a very engaged process from the beginning, and that really became the model for everything that came afterward. A lot of very powerful goals and recommendations that came out of DeYoung's master plan, but there are 2 that I'd like to mention that specifically informed the high school design. The first was learning environments to support the next generation of students. So project-based learning, career tech, that sort of thing. And then secondly, to develop small thematic high schools to reduce overcrowding. All of the existing high schools in the district were designed for about 2,400 students. They had all been loaded for about 4,000 students. So by building these, the master plan's idea of this series of small thematic high schools allowed them to do 2 things at one time: reduce the overcrowding across the district, and also raise the game in terms of what the educational experience and providing 21st century learning environments in these thematic high schools. So we really, we in the district were influenced really strongly by this ethic of collaboration and integration at the beginning, and continued that on. And at the beginning of the curriculum planning process, we started a curriculum planning process where we were the facilitators and included key teachers that had been incubating high-performance, innovative programs in the existing high schools, all of the curriculum leaders, principals of the other high schools, the leadership from the 2 institutions of higher learning, Cal State Long Beach, and also Long Beach City College, and then also industry partners. Long Beach is a port city. Transportation, goods movement, aerospace are huge industries, and all of those industries were represented in the district. Also, law enforcement, forensics, healthcare, and business and technology. So all these people were represented on the curriculum planning committee. And what came out of that were 5 broad goals. The first was to inspire collegiate and career aspirations. So to do that not only in terms of tangible programs and spaces to support tangible programs, but also the overall feel and character of the building to inspire those aspirations, and to make sure that both a career path or a college path were both honored within the school. Second, to make learning relevant through hands-on learning. Third, empower collaborative and individual modes of learning. So learning happens everywhere. The idea that wherever you go on campus, there are the opportunities for students to engage, interact, and communicate. They wanted the school to be a model of sustainability and basically to be a teacher of students about sustainability. And finally, to be produced through an authentic, integrated design process that was begun at the beginning of the master plan process. And so that was partly for efficiency, but also so that, back to the ideas that I talked about at the beginning, that the practical realities of this project would end up informing the design, and therefore the building would be a better teacher of students and a more inspiring place for students to go to school.
So this is the site plan of the school. The building is surrounded by a mature neighborhood that was built in the 1940s during World War II as the aircraft industry was growing. And it was important to keep the perimeters of the site open so that the neighbors could use the site, but also to have a secure, open feeling, but secure environment for high school students, and to promote the idea of collaboration. So the buildings are all organized on this main street, and right here at the heart are the small learning communities. So it's two-story buildings housing each of the career pathways, one per floor, so they have their own contiguous area. And then all of these others, the administration, which is also the single point of entry for the school, lecture hall, physical education, food service, and science labs, support the small learning communities and are shared. And then as you see in this breakaway, there's a bar for the career tech labs, a group of classrooms that can be configured in multiple different ways, all surrounding a collaborative work area. And then everything is transparent and open to the exterior, and so that learning spaces are basically happening inside and outside the building. From the very beginning of the design process, again, we're using an integrated design process. So the district stakeholders are all involved, the community is involved in a meaningful way. Our integrated team of engineers and architects working on it, and also a builder was brought in at the very beginning of the process. And we used BIM as the platform, so we're really taking all of those practical realities of the project, the structural, the mechanical systems, all the program elements, the orientation of the building from an environmental standpoint, from a climatic standpoint, and using it to shape the building in 3D from the beginning. And then the contractor's involvement is able to take that database, take that BIM model and carry it on through, basically build, this is their model, and they carried on from this and built it into the shop drawing level. So before any dirt was turned over on the site, we had already found all of the coordination issues and basically built the building virtually before we started. So I want to go through a few photographs using the Curriculum Planning Committee's criteria as a guide on this. And these are pictures of the central courtyard, the main street, and showing kind of this idea that we wanted this to feel like a college campus, wanted it to feel like a corporate campus. And, and a lot of times what you read about, say, Steve Jobs talking about their corporate environment, wanting to have places where people are all interacting and communicating everywhere on campus. So the same thing holds true in the classrooms, and then this is a lecture hall where students can meet. State-of-the-art career technical equipment, and in very durable spaces. So exposed CMU, polished concrete floors, exposed structural steel ceilings. But then one of the most important characteristics is this idea of transparency and being able to open these spaces up so that the projects that students are working on inside can be taken outside the building, not only be worked on outside, but also so that they can be displayed, and there can be a lot of dialogue and sharing about what's going on, what the kind of projects that they're working on. These two corner slides are the collaboration spaces, so they're all a little bit different. They're all furnished a little bit differently, so it's very flexible furnishings. It's movable and fixed furnishings, but the idea of having very transparent, daylit spaces, very open spaces, but also spaces that support individual, small group, middle-sized group, and large group interactions. And then as you can see out here, as you go through the site, lots of places for students to gather in big groups or individually to collaborate. Sustainability was a huge issue. We have photovoltaic panels on the sloping roofs that are all oriented toward the sun. Those provide 65% of the connected load of the building. There's a central plant air conditioning system, but also the opportunity to have operable windows on window contactors so that students and teachers can all control the environment and have fresh, clean air in their classrooms. There was no underground storm drainage system on the site, so all of the water was retained on site, filtered before it was released, and then we designed elements into the building to express that, and so the building can be a teacher. And then finally, community aspirations. kind of going back to that mature community, the outreach process for the community. To be honest with you, there was a lot of concern about this school going into this, this existing community. But I think that this event, which just happened a month and a half ago when the school was open, it was an open house, parents, prospective students, and all the people from the surrounding community were asked to come and be part of this. We were expecting about 250 to 300 people to show up, but there were, I mean, we don't really know how many, maybe 2,000 people, maybe more showed up, but it looked like selling tickets to a Stones concert to come see this. And all the commentary we got for this were really strong. So I want to end by going back to the idea of poetry. And I think the issue here is the practical and the poetic really bracket one important idea, and that's engagement. Engagement ties those together and makes them possible. And to quote John Mash from our plenary session, he said that you know, we can design the schools we want if we approach it the right way. And so that's we would like to propose that an integrated, engaged process is the right way to do this. So thank you.